Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone around the world. I am Paul Sisler, and this is In the Moment. Hello, hello, hello. Oh my goodness, I tell you, there has been just a lot of things happening of late. We've had some really good shows. I'm booking some really good people coming up here for the month of March. It's going to be very, very exciting, including Matt Myers of the International Peace and Research Association. I will have him on here on March 20th. March 20th. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. This week on Tuesday Takes, we are going to talk about subverting life experiences, and we have L.R. Evans to help along with
Yay.
that. Hello, Luke. How you doing?
I am doing fantastic. Finally getting my together.
All right. You look fabulous.
Thank you. Just got some new makeup. I love this Il Maquillage. This is brilliant.
Loving it, loving it, loving it. All right. Now, before we start on the topic, I'm just going to share Chapters and Pages Book Nook.
My new logo.
Hey, everybody, you're going to have to just come check that out. Let me see if I have that address again. Chapters and Pages Book Nook, 203A Broadway Street, Jackson, Ohio, 45640. Grand opening on April 1st featuring Daigle. Yay! Yay!
And
So,
Daigle will be reading from Bingo. If you guys haven't heard of it, then you obviously aren't in the crowd. Get on Twitter. But Bingo is freaking amazing. It's like a psychological thriller, really. I and hearing Daigle read it, yes, there's the cover. Hearing him read it is a treat in and of itself. This guy could be, I think he actually does some voice acting. He's incredible. So you definitely don't want to miss it. If you can't be there in person, we are going to be doing Saturday Spotlights right here on Paul's show. Yes, on Saturdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you can't be at the Book Nook in person because you don't want to come to Ohio, who does? You can watch it live on the channel.
Is Ohio real?
It's kind of a black hole. That's why people think that it's not real, because once people go there, it's poof. Book Nook, yay. So subverting life experiences to create more complex characters. What that means, we'll start with that, is taking something that's happened to you in your life, a specific scenario, and then taking from that only the emotions and the way that you reacted, the base model of that experience, and applying it to a character in a way that it'll comfortably fit in the plot. Subtlety is key here. That's how you avoid being too cringy. Show don't tell is your friend. You don't want your characters popping up and being like, this thing happened and this is how I feel about it, and just being too on the nose. You want us to see it without actually saying it. I know that Paul has a few examples that he's going to share with you about subverting life experiences to create his more complex characters that he wants to share with you from the Rainbow Prophecy series, right?
Any number of them and all that. Let's go with Rainbow Prophecy, Book 1, Blood Schism. My main character, Iris, is a intersex sex worker. And the personality that you get from Iris comes from a real person. It was a intersex person that I actually dated in my life. And basically, you're going to see a lot of her personality come out. And when you get further into the story, you're going to kind of see why her and I didn't work out, because basically there's a lot of aspects of me and Donovan, insecurities. If you watch me on other shows, you listen to me in Spaces, you'll know how I am a statistics guy, an empirical data guy. I am. At one time, I was known as Paulie the Pen Happy Prick because I follow procedures. I'm by the book, and I used to write people up. So I try to do things by the book, and you're going to notice that with Donovan. That's part of me that comes out in Donovan, and my relationship with let's just say Iris. You're going to be able to see that in real time when the book comes out, so that's kind of where that's at. So the relationship aspect is what will show in this from me and my personal experience.
Nice. And yeah, that's a perfect example of subverting a life experience. I mean, you've actually had this experience, but you're not making it so on the nose. It's exactly what that was. You tweaked it to fit your book and your novel to where it
Right.
actually makes sense for the story. And that's
Right.
exactly what I'm talking about. Before this show started, we were actually discussing different ways that we did this in our own books. And you shared that with me, and I shared a few things with you. Then we went off on a tangent about bullying forever.
Well, because we both use it as part of our character, like
Yes.
with TJ, when they get into TJ, they're going to see where not all the experiences that TJ goes through is things that I personally had experienced, through me, but it's also things that I also witnessed, like the child abuse that TJ goes through. I was not a victim of child abuse, but I witnessed child abuse as a kid, and it's how it resonated with me. And you'll feel that in TJ. But then, as far as the bullying goes, the things that TJ does are the things that I wanted to do. So you'll see the correlation.
See, and that's another reason why I love using life experiences. Not only because it does make your characters more complex, but because it is also another form of therapy. It's kind of wish fulfillment a little bit as well,
Yeah.
without the prison time.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, I was also talking about how I did the same things with my characters in Lucid, with Julian and Miles. Like, for example, Julian kind of like cut himself off from the rest of the world. He was like an island unto himself. He didn't really trust people. He'd been rejected a lot, and he realized that, if people really saw who he was and he let somebody get too close, then that would pretty much mean curtains for him because he's gay in 18th century London. So Julian's experience there actually came from my experience growing up. I was in a small town. I didn't really have like a lot of support at home. I didn't have a lot of support in school. Who I was as a person didn't mesh well with who everybody else was and how they were being raised, like the ideas that they had. I was pretty progressive even as a teenager, and where I was growing up, there wasn't a lot of progressive people. I'm not saying everywhere. Jackson was pretty good. And Waverly was pretty good, but like the other school districts like Wellston and Beaver and a bunch of others, those weren't all that great. As far as progressiveness went and liberal mindedness. So I was kind of like all alone there. And if I did share my ideas, I'd be treated a certain way. So I learned pretty quickly to close myself off. I don't need anybody. I got me. It's fine. I'll just stay here with my books and my cat because I've always had a cat. So that's kind of how I ended up subverting that life experience, where I was growing up feeling like an outsider and taking those feelings and taking that kind of feeling of being threatened if like I let people get too close, and putting that onto Julian in a more ramped up scenario, because that's more interesting than the subtleness of what's going on in my life. So yeah, that's one example of what I did with Lucid as well. So bullying. Am I boring you, Paul?
No, I'm actually on Twitter. I'm retweeting out this live space right now.
I'm playing with you. It's fine.
Just trying to get more people to watch us. That's
Well, you
all.
go for it. I got another person that I'm going to talk about Miles next, and you can continue retweeting. That's
Oh
fine.
no, it's already done. It's already
Okay.
done.
All right. Well, then you talk about your next one if you want, or I can talk about Miles.
Well, I think that like with TJ, where I explain the things that he kind of is, where what I went through as a kid and what I put in there. I have another book that I'm working on called Badge of Blood, where my main character is a vampire bounty hunter. And for those that know me, I was a bounty hunter in Las Vegas, Nevada for a while. So I'm going to put some of those experiences actually in the book and kind of the personality. A lot of people, if you go to Vegas, Vegas bounty hunters, a lot of them are, basically cowboy bounty hunters and all that. Kick in the door, ask questions later, just whole, we're bad, we're tough, and we can do whatever we want mentality. Where my main character, he's going to be more subtle, more of a conversationalist, and that's going to create issues amongst other bounty hunters because they're apparently getting a bad name because of this guy and how good he is and how nice he is and how he gives people chances and works with them and stuff like that. So that's my personality. And of course, he's a vampire. So he can take bullets. He can, take some damage. He can take getting beaten, hung. And then, of course, he gets left out and hung, and you got 6 or 7 guys that strung him from a tree. And, a couple days later, he comes walking into town, and they're just like, what the fuck? So he gets a reputation as somebody that can't be killed. Well, he's a vampire. Of course he can't.
Oh, so nobody even fucking knows that he's a vampire. That's neat as fuck.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes. And he lives out in the middle of nowhere, and he doesn't kill human beings. He basically, I mess with the lore a little bit. Vampires can't live off of blood alone. They have to have some meat. So
I loved that. I loved that when you mentioned it earlier.
Yeah. So there's one part where he goes through skinning a buffalo and drying it, making jerky and everything, and then he'll carry the jerky with him. And where a lot of people will carry a flask of water, he carries a flask of blood and dips his jerky in the blood. So anyways, yes. Real badass.
I have just started watching True Blood, by the way, and wow, they are gratuitous with the blood, aren't they? I've seen lots of vampire shows. This is the first one where like the blood's like out of their fucking mouth and shit, and it's just gurgling everywhere. When the fucking vampires explode, it's like sticky, gooey fucking shit. I'm like, I'm grossed out. This is nasty.
Yes.
Like, I don't feel like any kind of sexiness towards the vampires at all. Then Eric walked on screen, and I was like, never mind, I'm back.
Yes.
Eric's yummy.
Yes. And as it goes on, there's a few yummy characters on there. There's a few yummy characters on there. And I have you gotten to a sex scene yet?
I've gotten to several. Jesus, okay. These people fuck like bunnies.
Yes.
I do have a small problem with, what, we're getting off topic, but I will say that the 17-year-old that got changed, it's kind of weird to watch her do sex scenes because I'm like, ew, this was a little sussy. Maybe we shouldn't have included that. I'm just saying, like, we're saying she's 17, so this is kind of gross.
Yes. But outside of that, I'm telling you, when you're going to see a lot of True Blood in my writings. You probably already.
I can see how like some of it may have been inspired by. I can get to that.
Yes. But anyways, back to subverting.
Yes. So there's lots of different life experiences that you can subvert. You can go with your childhood experiences, whether they're positive or negative. You're always going to find your tribe with any of these experiences you have, and they don't have to be exactly what they were. I have a childhood flashback in the second book that I'm writing in the Rumworld trilogy, where Miles nearly falls off a cliff when he's out with his dad or something like that. And like, it was a really scary experience, and he became afraid of heights because of that. And I never had that experience. I'm just like afraid of heights. But the experience that I did draw on from that is the way that, like, you know, I wasn't really watched as a kid, you know what I mean? Like I was able to sneak off easily, like at 8 years old, and go to the gas station and shit because my mom slept all the time. So it was like, I'm here. Like, she worked night shift, so like I just sneak out of the fucking house. um
Oh God, you
you know,
almost would think you were a Gen Xer for a second there.
yeah, no, just neglected. Um, but anyway, you know, you're taking like that, even the smallest little experiences, you can take those and you can apply them to your story, and you can change them to fit a fantasy backdrop. You can make it more or less intense. But whatever you're doing with that, the emotions are going to be on point because you have experienced this. So it's the emotions that you take from these life experiences and the key points. It can be poverty, it can be neglect, it can be a loving parent, which I can't write those. Uh, but a little bit. You can actually write a nurturing family figure, parent figure, by drawing on an adult role model that you had either as a child or as an adult later on in life. And just putting them in the parental role in your stories as well. That's something you can do. So don't think that just because you haven't lived an experience that you can't fabricate one for your story by just picking and choosing from different things. So I personally have a sister that is amazing. Like, she taught me everything I know. She's the one who finally raised me. And like, I have a really good relationship with her, and I've kind of parentified my sister. And when I write a nurturing, healthy relationship between an adult and a child, or a parent and a child, a parent and a adult child, even, that's who I comes to mind for me. I think of them, you know, like my sister, and I put them her in that role there. So there's lots of different ways that you can do that just by choosing the emotion, taking the key points of that relationship, and
Yes.
applying that to your story. And that's how you subvert a life experience.
Yes. And you can also take, it doesn't even have to be things that you yourself have experienced, you know, first person. It can be things that you experienced third person, things that you've seen, and you know, and how they affect you, and you know, and how you can put that in. You know, maybe you've never been a drug addict, but you've had a friend that went through drug addiction. You can put that in there as a character, you know, or a trait, and you know, how they would act, and then how you would act towards them. So you have different things like that that you can put in there. Um, Job experience. There's a lot of different jobs that are out there, depending upon what you've worked in. I had 20 years in the casino industry, so I can guarantee you any casino scene in my book is going to be spot on because I lived it. You know, whatever your occupation is, you can put that into it and bring a lot of flavor, or boredom when you need boredom, you know, which adds flavor, you know. So there's a lot of different things in your life experiences that you can put in there. I know as a kid, again, I was joking about the Gen Xer, but us Gen Xers, us kids, I mean, my God, we used to hop trains. Okay. Um,
Whoa. Back
yeah.
it up.
Yeah. Yeah. We used to hop trains.
As a kid?
Yes. Yes. We would.
So insane. I'm so
Well, you're
worried.
telling
How did
me.
you live?
Now, let me tell you something. When they show in a movie this train that's going like 20, 30 miles an hour and you got people pulling themselves up on it, bullshit. Bullshit. Okay. We would have to wait until the train would slow down as it's coming up to the small town. And it would be creeping along at like about 5 miles an hour. And that is a bitch to get up on. Okay. They make it like you can run alongside of it and reach up and jump into the side. No, you can't. No, you can't. You're not that tall. You're not that tall, especially when you're a kid. No, you have to jump onto the back ladder. That's how you get up on there. So, anyways, um,
At least your train hopping stories will be fucking accurate. Every scene. Be like, this is some bullshit.
oh, I can tell you a bunch of stories of what we used to do as kids. How we would end up in a town 100 miles away, and of course, our parents would think that we were having a night out in the tent, sleeping outside, and little did they know that we weren't in the tent. We were in some other town 100 miles away. And fortunately for us, we always caught the train back that came back to our train depot. So we were very, very lucky. We didn't get stranded somewhere that we just had no idea where we were at. But, anyways, Gen Xers did stuff like this. Okay.
No wonder y'all always on fucking milk cartons. Between that and opening the door for people who did not text.
Yes. Yes. Well, and that's
Leaving
just
shit
it.
unlocked.
There's a lot of things that today, like if my grandson did half of the stuff, a tenth of the stuff that I did, oh my God, I would probably beat him half to death. I mean, it's just like, no, no. But those life stories, those things that we did, and then things that you did in your generation, things that a millennial does in their generation. Hold on, do millennials do anything? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, millennials really don't. We just survive and wish. Like, it's weird. It's like we have a death wish, but we're also doing everything we can to survive at the same time. It's an oxymoron.
See, that's something that can be utilized in writing, where I'm not going to understand that perception that you have of how life is today because of my experiences prior to that. I see things differently. So I adapt, I absorb, the things that I pick up on are going to be different than what you're going to pick up on, again, back in that time and era, for me to date an intersex person was just like, you don't do that. There's no way you can tell anybody about it. And today I could date an intersex person and walk down the street holding hands with him or her, and depending upon where I'm at, that could cause problems now. But, you go back 10 years and, I mean, you could do that, but go back 30 years and no, it's not something that you did. So perceptions on things are a lot different, but that's what we can bring into our writing. And again, subverting our experiences. And think about this, take what I just said about how back in the day, I couldn't do this where I can do it now. I can talk about that. I can put that experience into my book and have some authenticity with it that people may or may not catch on to or absorb, or, it's going to play a role.
Yeah. Absolutely. We all have different experiences and different things to bring to the table. And it's not just between generations either. It's
Right.
within the same generation even. We just don't all live the same lives. We've all had different jobs. We've all had different childhoods. We've all made different friendships. We've all been different places. Some of us haven't been anywhere, like it really, it we all have something different to apply to our writing. And I really think that when we are applying our life experiences to our works of fiction, that's what really brings it alive. Um, and it doesn't even have to be just like jobs and the way that you grew up and things like that. It can also be mental health issues, traumatic experiences, uh, relationships with not only just your parents, but like coworkers, friends, romantic partners, that kind of thing, whether good or bad, like those experiences. You can take those experiences and twist them up and change them to make them into something that fits your plot. Like maybe you had like a really big fight with a coworker or something at your job, and like it's a very specific argument or whatever. You can take that and just take the emotions from it and the key points and apply that to literally anything, any story that you're writing, sci-fi, fantasy, erotica, whatever.
Yes.
Like it doesn't matter. You just take the key points and the emotions and transfer them to a new plot. It's a formula that won't come off as formulaic.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, take a look at me. I went back to school in 2008. I was in my late 30s. And when I went back to school, it was the first semester was difficult because, again, everybody's got iPads and desk and laptop computers and stuff like that, where I bring my trusty notebook and I'm taking notes old school way. You know, that is an experience I can formulate into a storyline. Okay. And it doesn't even have to be about going back to school, it can be taking that experience and formulating it into walking into a new job, say like you're at a factory or something, and you had prior factory experience, and when you walk in, this is the way they used to do it, and now you do it this way. Okay. You can apply that thought process. you know there was a lot of things after my first semester. I'm 4.0 all the way because half of the stuff I've lived where other people haven't. So you can apply that into your storyline, that you're going into something that you've already lived, that all these people have no clue because they're just coming up to it, but you've already lived this.
That kind of reminds me of like vampires that go to school or whatever and know everything about history. Like they're like Edward in Twilight. He was in history class. It was like, what year was this? And he's like, this was the year. This actually happened. And here's this detail that's not in the history books. They were like, because I was there, bitch.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I like that.
Yes.
Well, that's one way of subverting that experience, though. Like you were there, you saw how this is, and now it's easier for you because of this. I mean, that's just one example of taking the experience you've already had and applying it to something new. Because it's not just everything either. Like when you get to that new factory or whatever, and they're doing things differently now. I mean, now you have to learn a new thing, but you still know quite a lot about it. So you can subvert that some way. It doesn't have to be a factory job. It can be anything.
Right. Well, let's take it to another avenue. Let's say you're writing a book about stealing cars, or that you got a car stealing scene in there. And back in the day, you'd take a Slim Jim, slide it down in the side of the window, and you'd pop it and open it up. Well, today everything's all electronic, and
Computer.
kiosk and all this stuff. And it's just like, whoa, so how do you do it now? Well, you stick this in and you have this electronic device that pops it for you. And it's just like, oh, so again, you can take an experience and again, completely manipulate it into something else. What you lived going through that experience into part of the story that you're writing that has nothing to do with what you lived, but the experience does, you know?
And it's giving me ideas, us just talking about that, about the carjacking thing, because I'm sitting here thinking about how maybe like this guy was like cryogenically frozen and like he used to be a carjacker way back in the day, but like he got into a horrible accident, but he was cryogenically frozen. And then he wakes up like 200 years later and now it's like this time, or okay, it wouldn't be 200 years because cars haven't been around for 200 years, I'm sure. But you know what I mean. Anyway, however many years pass or whatever, and he gets like reanimated or something.
Right.
And now it's
100
like,
years.
oh, now we do it this way. And he's got to learn all this, but also he knows all the old school tricks to like, evade the cops and shit like that. Like he's still got like really important information to give to like his carjacking friends or whatever. And still contributes in his own way because they've gotten so far away from the basics because they didn't have to work as hard as he had to work way back when it was like Slim Jim and hot wiring and shit like that. Now it's just press a button. Yay, car.
Yeah, yeah. Or you walk up and you put a mold in there, you come back, you go back into your van, bam, it's like boom, you walk up and you just unlock the car, jump in and start it up and go, and it's just like, what?
You have to like disable the GPS and all sorts of shit though. Like most of the electronic cars have GPS like built in. Like
Right.
somebody just got like convicted of murder. Well, he's in the process of getting convicted. I know he's going to jail. It's Murdaugh or something like that. I saw it on
Murdoch.
TikTok. Huh?
Yeah, Murdoch.
Yeah. He had GPS on his car, and that's how they caught his ass. They're like, bitch. And then TikTok, his voice is on the back of the TikTok that the dude that he killed fucking recorded. Yeah. So it's like, man, there's too much technology. Nobody's getting away with shit.
Well, and there's something else that you can bring into it and all that. Back in my day, there wasn't cameras everywhere. There wasn't people with cell phones everywhere. They had a landline phone. Well, I still got a landline phone, but anyways, you're not filming nothing with a landline phone. No, you're talking to whoever, and it's just like, hold on, my cord and all that won't stretch that far, and people are gonna be like, what the hell? What are you talking about? A cord on your phone? So you can take these types of things and again implement it into again what used to be and what is now. We have cell phones. My God, you're writing something futuristic. Look at Star Trek and look at how far ahead of time it was, and now look at all the things that have come to pass that would be considered science fiction. Kirk and they had the little flip phones that they would talk into, and well, hey, we ended up having flip phones. Now we got cell phones, so you can create like maybe a chip that you put in your head or something like that, where all you got to do is just touch your head and you can call blah blah blah, and bam, it rings, and now you're talking, and you don't even have to talk out loud. You're just talking in your head, and it's a voice. So you can take anything and convert it. So you look at technology. My experience is watching how technology has grown. From when I was a kid to where it's at now. And I know you're much younger. You probably don't even know what a rotary phone is, but
I know what a rotary phone is. We had one in the 90s.
Okay. So,
well, 2000s.
Okay. Well, you can take some of the experiences that you have and do the same thing with, because yeah, you probably remember the flip top phone, and now you have these touch screen phones. So you also have technological advances. Just in, my God, the last 20 years, there's been a lot of technological advances. So we have almost fully autonomous cars. We have robots that are self-learning. I mean, the things that I remember when a robot, you had to program it to do what you wanted it to do, and now they can learn. Oh my goodness, there's so many things that your own experiences that you see growing up and learn about that you can throw into.
Yes. And I swear, uh, there's some things about the human experience that will remain the same throughout centuries, like all the way forward. Like, so if you're writing about a job where, like, you know, you have your jobs right now where it's like, okay, you go to a call center and you make phone calls, or you go to a factory and you assemble things, or you work as a real estate agent, or like any number of things, like whatever job it is that you're working, pizza place, Wendy's, McDonald's, whatever, whatever job that you're working, how it is with that experience, between your coworkers and the hours and the fatigue and not making enough money, or whatever the case may be, you're not getting the right health benefits. You can still take that so many centuries or a millennia or whatever into the future in your sci-fi novel and apply those core concepts and those core feelings that you feel right now in your own jobs, and apply that to them creating like rocket fuel, like spaceship rocket fuel to, I don't know. I don't write sci-fi, but whatever chrome thingy that you are doing in the factory there, or whatever strange pizza that you just drink in the future, and they're working in that atmosphere, you can still apply what you know now to that. It's going to make it come alive and seem more realistic and help your readers to suspend disbelief.
Exactly. Another thing, again, it doesn't have to be traumatic life experiences. You can take fun life experiences that are kind of subtle and put those into your character. Like all of my life, I've owned a dog. Okay. And I got a little pup right now, a little Cinnamon. And you can have your character have a pet, and the relationship that you have with your dog, you can make that the relationship that your character has with their pet. So if you're someone that likes, I like to lay down on the floor and rough house with my little pup and all that, have your character do that. Bring some life into the character. Maybe your character has a goldfish. Maybe you like to sit down every night and have a conversation with that goldfish and ask it life's questions and blah, blah, blah. So do you think that I should blah, blah, blah? Now you just add that to your story. So do you think I should kill this person or not? I've been debating this. So what do you think, Goldie? You can take those life experiences and add it to your book. And now don't forget, you're a writer. You're writing. So why not have your character at some point be a writer, whether they're keeping a journal, whether they're writing poetry, because that's how they express themselves. So every chapter or so, you throw in a poem in there that they write because of what they're going through. Things that you do in life. If you're someone that I write poetry and all that. I have TJ writing poetry. So there are things that I also implement from me into my character.
Yeah, there's a lot that you can do there. And when you were talking about the other character having a pet, for whatever reason, I thought about my Among Us account and my little lava monster pet that keeps coming around. I'm just imagining like a little lava goopy thing that's like, oh, you're so cute, aren't we just the warmest little lava monster thing? I'm just imagining a character doing that, and I love it.
Yes.
But yeah, positive experiences, you definitely taking those and transferring them to the story is really important as well. I agree. I had something else in my head, but my ADHD just kicked in. It's gone now. So go for it.
I was just saying, don't forget other things that you do normally in everyday life: cooking, going to the bathroom, having sex, masturbating, gardening, landscaping, cleaning house, all these different little things that you do you can put that detail into it because it's things that you experience every day. You know, you may clean an oven a little bit differently than somebody else, or just like everybody else. Have a scene where you're cleaning the fucking oven, or you're doing dishes. These things, what how you would do it. Put it in there.
I agree with that. The only stipulation that I would put on that is to make sure that every scene has a purpose, though, because you don't want a scene where, like, we're having their morning getting dressed thing. Oh, I took a shower and I took a shit, and then, like, now I'm brushing my teeth, and it's like, what was the point of that? Why did I just watch? Why did I just read this?
Right.
But as long as it has a purpose, and moves the story forward, absolutely, I agree. That can, but you can also, it doesn't have to be like a whole scene. You can just have a thing like, I was cleaning out the oven in my apartment, and then somebody knocked on the door. That's, and then, like, whoever came to the door, that conversation that they have with that person is what moves the story forward. But you still put in that you're cleaning the oven, which adds that little touch to it that's like, this is real. This is a real person thing.
Right. You could go through a whole scene like you're going to do the dishes and you're going walking around the house collecting the dishes. You're getting them all set up. You got the water running and you just put the soap in and everything. And you got these thoughts running through your head. And you look out the window and the wild dog is approaching the house. You've heard about this dog. It's part of the story or whatever the case is. So you've taken an ordinary scene where you were just saying you have to give everything purpose. Yes. Or I'll be right back. I'm going to the bathroom, and you go into the bathroom and you do a line of coke, or while you're taking the dump, all the shit goes down and you walk out and everybody's now dead and have been slaughtered and you just wiped your ass and you're like, what the fuck?
Oh, that's the most silent killer ever. I want to read that fucking book, whatever that was. Daigle, write that down. Write that down.
I'm just saying, you can take anything that's just a normal life experience and turn it into something. But like you said, it's got to have purpose, and the purpose of going in and taking a shit, you're having all these thoughts and you're just so into what it is that you're thinking about that you're not hearing what's going on outside. You might even stop. What the hell was that? And go back. What the fuck?
Or
And
maybe it's somebody with anxiety and they have their earbuds in and they're like
boom.
scrolling TikTok. They like came into the bathroom just to get away from everybody. And then
Yes. Yes. There's so many different things that you can do and all that. So again, when you where we were talking about how we were taking major life experiences, like bullying or something like that, and turning it into the storyline. There's other aspects of our life and of who we are that we can subvert into a character that, how we do things, how, like I said, how we go to the bathroom or how we do dishes or how we mow the lawn or whatever. But also, you got to give it a purpose. There's got to be a reason, even if it's just defining who the character is, like getting down on the floor and playing with the dog and then the phone rings. The whole purpose of having it in there is to show that there's a friendly side to that character, when the character that you're seeing throughout the rest of the book is just like a psychopath that is just
killing
evil.
everyone.
Yeah, evil and dominant. And it's like, whoa, where'd this side come from? What I want to know more about that side, So, but you got to make sure you have more about that side throughout the story.
My favorite thing about Insomnia is the fact that I'm doing that with Titus. Like, we see like the softer side of him throughout the whole beginning, to where like I kind of gaslight the readers. They're like, oh, okay, maybe he's not so bad, and then the other shoe drops. So look forward to it. Appreciate it. But but yeah, back to Subverting. I'm sorry, I kind of like we kind of, I couldn't help it. I liked it. I feel like we were still talking about the topic a little bit.
Yeah, we are.
I wanted to mention how important it is to not have it so on the nose. Because I mentioned that at the beginning of the show, like being subtle, that was really important, and not not being so direct with it. So, because that'll come through in your writing too. It'll be like, oh, this is something that happened to the writer, obviously. And you don't want them rolling their eyes. You want it to seem as natural as possible to the story. So
Yeah.
you can use your writing as therapy, but if you're looking to sell that work or market it to other people, you want it to fit the story and fit the plot and not seem out of place.
Right.
One example of that is how I could have written Miles. I was bullied a lot in high school. Shocker, I know. But I was bullied a lot in high school, and I got into a lot of fights. I would hit people in the head with textbooks. I was ready. I was real scrappy. It was like, let's fucking fight, bitch, whatever, and that was my whole high school experience. And then when I turned 18, I was like, oh, I'm legal now. It's not juvie. If I hurt somebody, it's jail. So let me just stop. And so I learned how to use my words. But anyway, I didn't take that exact experience, the bullying and all that, because honestly, it didn't really fit Miles's personality. He's a grown-ass fucking adult in the book, and I wanted it to be more centric to his adult life and not his childhood. He has childhood issues too. All of my characters have issues. But anyway, Miles's anger management issues actually comes from like how he was raised, absolutely. But what really triggered him and made it to where like he stopped, it triggered his recovery and his going to therapy, was that he lost an opportunity because of his anger management issues. He struck somebody whenever he got a big acting deal, and that effectively stunted his career to the point that he might never get a big opportunity again. Like he was almost on the big screen and he lost it because he punched somebody, lost his temper with someone, and now he doesn't get to do that. So I didn't take the bullying and stuff like that for the anger management. We really don't hear too much about where his anger issues came from right away. Like we know that there was a lot going on with his father and stuff like that. So that's probably what played the biggest part with Miles's anger management issues. I didn't have a problem like that. Mine was, I mean, I didn't love my mom, but like I loved her. Don't get me wrong, but I didn't like her very much. We didn't get along. Like so that's not being so on the nose though. It's taking it and twisting it a little bit to where it fits the story and will move the plot forward. It's in there for a reason. I hope that makes sense. I sounded a little rambly there.
No. There's like a fine line. And here's the thing. All right. The abuse scene that I have in TJ. There's a lot of people that ask me if I lived that. Okay. Because it's so real, so emotional that when I would read it, people could feel that strop landing across TJ's back. Okay. It's not wrong for people to think, wow, I wonder if that was a life experience, because that's how real it is. It's how much, if you can make them feel that and make them wonder, okay, versus it coming across as I was abused, yes, blah, blah, blah. And instead of it coming across saying I was abused, it leaves that mystery in the air. I mean, I don't know how else to put it, but there's like there's a line to getting that information out there and bringing a realism to it, to where people can associate it as a real life event and yet wonder if, oh wow, was this writer abused as a kid? I think that's where it comes across, because a lot of people had asked me and all that after I'd read that, Paul, did that happen to you? No, but I've witnessed it happen.
Yeah. I think a lot of it can be avoided with show don't tell.
Right.
Obviously you don't want, like when we're first getting introduced to characters, you don't want the character whose head we're inside to be like, oh, this is my friend Sue and I've saved your life before and I would do it again and I love her so much and blah 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 blah. Like you want to see that. You want to show it like with
Right.
flashbacks or something like that. And it's the same thing whenever it comes to any kind of trauma or something that you want to include there, which I feel like you did really well with TJ because it fit the plot of the story. It felt seamless. It didn't feel like it was your therapy session. It felt like
Right.
it was something that was actually happening in the moment in the moment in the moment for the story in order to move the plot forward. And I thought that was incredible. I also have, I didn't. Okay. So Julian suffers from PTSD in Lucid, obviously. Like he had like a near miss with SA, like it didn't go all the way, but it was still SA, you know what I mean? And for me, I kind of had a similar experience, but I was a child at the time. So my thing was it wasn't exactly what happened to me. It was kind of amped up a little bit. It was as
Right.
if people were adults. It wasn't the same experience, but it was still my therapy session. But it didn't look like it was my therapy session because
Bingo.
it
Yeah.
fit the actual plot of the story. I just took the emotions that I felt. I shouldn't like feel all bad because it wasn't that bad. People have been through worse. Julian feels all that. It and Lucid. And I show that. And I show where we have that kind of disconnect where it's like, I don't even deserve to feel bad about this because nothing really happened. And we don't hear that a whole lot. We don't see that side. But the
Right.
point is that I took a situation, escalated it for the plot of the novel, and still made it seem real. It was still my therapy session, but it was subverted to where it was removed from me and belongs now to the characters. And I think that's what we really need to do to make our characters more complex.
Exactly. Exactly. Well put. Well put. Exactly.
Yeah.
All righty.
So we only have 8 minutes left. I don't think that we really need to talk too much about anything else. So I'll just let you just end it with like your next shows that are coming up and all that good stuff, if that sounds good.
Yeah, yeah. I got T-Paw this Friday. I have Shadow Fox tomorrow. Our special guest tomorrow with Shadow Fox is Kato. We're going to talk about astro herbalism, so make sure you check that out. Saturday, I have comedy and controversy, and let me see real quick. I don't know if we have a topic or not. I think we're going to go over sexuality on comedy and controversy and all that. I think we're going to talk about uh, um, sex, biological sex versus gender. I think we're going to have a conversation on that on Saturday. I believe we're going to have Sarah Donahue with us once again and kind of go over that. Both Sarah and I are pansexual, poly, and Jeremy is heterosexual, monogamous. So I think it's going to be an interesting conversation. There's a lot of controversy going on in the media right now, especially with gender identification and stuff like that in the media. So I think that's going to be a real strong topic to discuss. And then Sunday, Elizabeth, I have to get with her and see if she's going to be back, but I think we have Becoming Stoic again on Sunday. And then March 20th, I have Matt Meyer, the Secretary General of the International Peace and Research Association. Him and I have a lot of catching up to do this week and next before we go over what topic we're going to discuss. He just got back from Africa, so I think with probably going to be a strong talk about things that went on in that are going on over in Africa with Pan-African movement. So again, some pretty big people coming up here. I just had a discussion in a space earlier today with the Web3 community. So I might be having a show coming up on Web3. So that'll be quite interesting. There you go. So lots of things. And then, of course, April, we have the first show, Saturday Spotlight with Luke. Are we going to call it that, Saturday Spotlight, or do you have another name?
I like Saturday Spotlight. It fits the Tuesday Takes thing. Tuesday Takes, Saturday Spotlight. Alliteration. Yay.
Perfect. So, yeah, March is going to be a big month. I got a couple other potential interviews coming up. I'm still working it. It's hard to get the bigger names in here. It really is.
Get it?
Yes.
Like, you're persistent, and eventually it's going to start hitting.
I want to get some big authors in here. I want to get a big author in here. I'm working on a whole bunch. If you guys are watching this and you know a big author, are a big author, reach out to me. If you have someone that is contact with somebody that is a well-known author, please reach out to me and all that. I'd love to have you on the show. Would love to have someone come on here, and all of us newbies to the industry that are trying to make it in this industry. Maybe we could get some helpful advice, some critiques, some honest feedback.
Love it. All the critique. Give me all the critique. Tear my shit apart.
Yes. Because yes, Luke and I, we're both published authors. Okay, we're published. I have a nonfiction. I am boom, the red herring effect. Nonfiction. I'm now writing fiction. Am I an expert? No. I don't think any writer is an expert. I think that every writer, there's always something new that they can learn. The information that Luke and I are giving you is stuff that we've learned, that we feel pretty confident in, that we have knowledge in. That doesn't mean we know everything about it. We can always learn. We can always take in some new things. And if we're wrong on anything, hey, let us know.
Absolutely. I love a good, solid debate and learning new shit. And
yes,
that's exciting.
Yes, because at one time, weren't you against traditional publishing? And now?
That's true. I was under the wrong assumptions about traditional publishing. I lumped them all together thinking that I knew everything, but I learned that not all publishing houses are the same. And tomorrow I am doing my video where I sign my very first traditional publishing contract. So
Yes, we can all learn. We can all, become better at the things that we do. And, whether you're a poet, a writer, a coder, a doctor, a firefighter, wherever you are in this world, there's always more to learn. Always more to learn.
As soon as you think that you know everything, you've already lost.
Exactly. Oh, and that's why Sundays are a really important day. Becoming stoic, very, very important. We're going over Rene Descartes.
Still on that one, huh?
Meditations on the first philosophy. Hopefully we can, help people out, give them a new perspective on things. Maybe think about things in a way that they've never thought about before. Anytime you can open up your mind to something new, something different, something better, you might like it.
Something different. I like it.
All right. With that said, remember, be kind, be happy, and may good things come your way. Thank you.
Meow.